tengok. Macam-macam lah.
Good day, Professor Dr. Hanafi bin Hussin. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. We're interested in learning about the death and rites among the Kadazan Penampang of Sabah. First, for death and mourning, can you elaborate on how the Kadazan community balances their traditional funeral rites with their Christian belief?
Thank you for inviting me. Straight to point. First, where death or Kadazan, a very solemn occasion for the traditional Kadazan, as it is one of the most important rite of passage during which many taboos have been to be observed. So when death occurs, it also causes imbalances and disorder in the social life of the family of the deceased. So meaning that among the Kadazan, this need to be balanced in the context of traditional custom and the current religious practices, especially Kadazan Penampang. Most of them are Christian. Kadazan believe all of the deceased will journey, from the physical world to the spiritual world, where in the context of the death of Hogan to Hozok, they will live eternally with their ancestors. Most of Kadazan of Penampang are Roman Catholic, mostly the Kadazan practicing Christians for decades, but in terms of some of the ritual remain, especially death ceremony, their traditional ritual during the funeral and Christian burial practices balance. In this context, they have mourning session, especially in the morning, begin with the gong beating, and then the ceremony in the house, followed by death brought to the church, followed by funeral session in the graveyard. The session also balance Christian processes, where chant by the priest or father, and then followed by the traditional gong beating.
For rituals of the death, considering the various funerary rites such as momisok, papaakan, mogukas, and humontok, how have these rituals evolved over time in Kadazan society, particularly with the influence of Christianity, and what aspect of these traditions are still widely practiced today?
The funeral is very important. So among the Kadazan who live and practice this rite need to be done, at least the Kadazan family who are Christian. But the important thing, is what we call it rites to be preserved, sustained, maintained among the family members and also among the religious. So you mentioned about momisok and papaakan. So what is momisok here? Momisok is a ritual in which the entire house lights are switched off so that the house is plunged into darkness, and this takes place on the eve of the 7th day of the death. So the purpose of the momisok is to establish contact with the spirits of the deceased for the last time by invoking him or her to have the last meal at home and bring all his or her belongings with him or her to the other world. And then talking about mogukas. The mogukas ritual is carried out the next day after the momisok. This is a short ritual performed by what we call it female shaman called Bobohizan to cleanse and drive away all dirt and all hardness. As the Kadazan believe, the 7th day is the final day for the spirit to remain on earth. Followed by humontok is a ritual to send for the spirits of the deceased for the final farewell and communication with a family member before leaving the material world. So it is usually performed several weeks after the burial by those who still maintain their traditional belief system. So these days, this ritual is optional, as most Kadazan have already embraced Christianity. Of course, if I explain it, it will be longer. So, but this is the function of this ceremony. It rarely performed today because of Christianity, but among the Kadazan who still have strong in traditional belief and practices, they are still being practiced.
For the last question, it is about the dunsai music of the Kadazan Dusun of Penampang. So what role does the dunsai gong music play in Kadazan Penampang funerary rites?
So what is dunsai music here? A continuing tradition of announcement and communication when death occurs in the village is the distinct, beating of gongs. So the particular somber, gong music place is known as dunsai among the Kadazan for the funeral, which literally means tagong talaan. When someone has just passed away, it signifies that it is time for mourning, the death. Gong are beaten playing the dunsai music repertoire to announce the death in the village to both the physical world and the spiritual world. Likewise, the gongs are beaten randomly, starting with either gong number 1 or number 6, and beating of the other gong following through.
This interview was very insightful. Thank you, Professor Hanafi, for sharing your knowledges and spending your time to do this interview with us on these topics.
Thank you.